Have you ever been in this situation where no matter what you do, you just can't stop thinking about it? Whether it's some mistakes from the past or some decisions that you have to make in the future, your mind will always find something to ruminate about. It might feel like a never-ending cycle of negative thoughts that control your emotions, disrupt your daily life, and leave you feeling exhausted and unhappy. But the good news is that you do and have to live like this forever, because understanding how overthinking works can help you stop doing it. So here are 6 scientifically proven ways to stop overthinking everything. No one. Understand the root cause. Our brain is hardwired to look for patterns and make sense of the world around us. But sometimes our brain can get a little too excited and start finding patterns where they do unexist, especially when we're anxious or stressed out. And this is called apophenia, which is the tendency of the human brain to perceive meaningful connections and patterns between unrelated things. For example, let's say you missed a few calls from an unknown number. If you're prone to overthinking, you might start to imagine all sorts of scenarios in your head about who this person could be and why they've been trying to contact you. Maybe you start to think that it's a telemarketer, but then you think maybe they're trying to sell you something that you really need, and then you start to worry about your personal information being shared. But in reality, there could be so many other harmless explanations for why that person was calling. They could have just been trying to reconnect with you, or maybe they were doing market research. The truth is, you'll never know unless you pick up the phone and call them back. But the point is that overthinking can turn a simple situation into a complex web of worries and what-ifs that can spiral out of control. That's why it's important to understand that overthinking is often rooted in our own fears and insecurities rather than actual threats. By recognizing this pattern in ourselves, we can start to challenge our negative thoughts and take control of our minds instead of letting them control us. Number 2, don't ignore the signs. When we're overthinking, it can be easy to try and push the thoughts out of our heads and pretend that they're not there. We might distract ourselves with work or social media or other activities to avoid facing the uncomfortable feelings that come up when we think about the situation. But this avoidance only makes things worse because it sends a message to our brain that we're afraid to face our problems. And when we avoid the things we fear, our brain interprets that as a sign that the threat is real and serious. As a result, the next time we try to ignore our thoughts, it will be even harder to do so because our brain will be more convinced than ever that we're in danger. This is called the avoidance theory of emotion, which states that we experience emotions like fear and anxiety when we've learned to avoid something in the past. So if you're struggling with overthinking, it's important to pay attention to the warning signs and address the thoughts and feelings as they arise. It might be uncomfortable at first, but it will help you break the cycle of avoidance and free your mind from the burden of overthinking. Number 3, focus on solutions. When we're overthinking, it can be helpful to shift our focus from the problem to the solution. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, try to brainstorm different ways that things could go right. Ask yourself what you would do if the best-case scenario happened and explore the steps you can take to make that happen. This can help you feel more confident and in control of the situation, which can reduce your overall anxiety levels. You can also try visualizing the best possible outcome to help solidify that mindset. By focusing on solutions instead of problems, you train your brain to look for positive outcomes and feel more confident in your ability to handle any challenges that come your way. And if you practice this enough, it will eventually become a habit, and you'll naturally start to think more positively and less negatively. Number 4, challenge your assumptions. When we're overthinking, we tend to make assumptions about what other people are thinking and feeling. We might assume that everyone is out to get us or that everyone is judging us, which can lead to unnecessary conflict and misunderstandings. We also tend to assume that our thoughts and feelings are facts, which can lead to distorted thinking and cognitive distortions. That's why it's important to challenge our assumptions and question whether they're really true or just our overthinking brain trying to trick us. One way to do this is to use evidence to support or refute your assumptions. For example, if you're assuming that everyone hates you, ask yourself if there's any evidence to support that claim. Have people actually said or done things that indicate they hate you? Or are you just reading into their actions and taking them out of context? Another way to challenge your assumptions is to consider alternative explanations for what you see and hear. For example, if your boss is ignoring your emails, don't just assume that it's because they hate you. Consider whether they could be busy, stressed, or maybe they didn't see the email. By challenging your assumptions and considering alternative explanations, you will be able to see the situation more clearly and reduce the amount of overthinking and negative emotions that come with it. 5. Practice self-compassion. When we're overthinking, we tend to be very hard on ourselves, and we might get caught up in a cycle of guilt, shame, and self-blame. We might dwell on our past mistakes and beat ourselves up over them, which can lead to decreased self-esteem and mental health issues. That's why it is important to practice self-compassion and treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a close friend. Self-compassion involves accepting and embracing ourselves. With all our imperfections, flaws, and weaknesses, it means treating ourselves with kindness and understanding rather than judgment and criticism. One way to practice self-compassion is to challenge your inner critic and reframe your negative thoughts. For example, instead of saying, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," try saying, "Everyone makes mistakes, and it doesn't define me as a person." Another way to practice self-compassion is to engage in self-care activities that make you feel good and help you relax, such as taking a hot bath, reading a book, or spending time in nature. By practicing self-compassion, you will be able to reduce the amount of negative self-talk and overthinking that you engage in and improve your overall mental health and well-being. And 6. Don't seek external validation. When we're overthinkers, we tend to look for external validation to confirm our thoughts and feelings. We might constantly check our social media accounts to see what others are saying about us, or we might ask others for their opinions on everything we do. But seeking external validation is not a healthy way to cope with overthinking because it often leads to more anxiety and stress. That's why it's important to learn how to validate yourself and trust your own judgment. Self-validation involves accepting and appreciating yourself without needing external approval or validation. It means learning to trust your own intuition and make decisions that are right for you, even if they're not what others expect of you. One way to practice self-validation is to identify and challenge your negative thought patterns and beliefs. For example, if you believe that you need to be perfect in order to be loved and accepted, challenge that belief and ask yourself if it's really true or just something you've been told. Another way to practice self-validation is to set healthy boundaries with others and learn to say no when you need to. This can help you reduce the amount of external input you are getting and allow you to make decisions that are right for you without being influenced by others. By practicing self-validation, you will be able to reduce your reliance on external validation and develop a stronger sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. If you liked these tips, be sure to share them with your friends and family so they can benefit from them too. Don't forget to subscribe for more psychology videos. Thanks for watching.